This is Valerie Van Boeven with the Senior Care Industry Netcast, where leaders with 3 or more years of experience in the senior care market share their advice. So let's get to it. In a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Kris Chana, and I've been in senior care for about 10 years now, originally in assisted living. Started in assisted living in 2011. My wife, Chelsea, and I moved into our assisted living facility, lived there for 3.5 years inside the facility. Don't know how I got so lucky that she was willing to go along that journey with me. We recently sold our assisted living facility last year in October of 2021. So I've been through that whole cycle of starting from scratch and kind of exiting and understanding that process. And then also in 2017, we started an adult daycare center. In 2018, we started our home care agency. And so currently we have an adult daycare center and we have a home care agency, private duty, and we are in the process of franchising and expanding our adult daycare center. So we currently have a location in Port Charlotte, and we have a location that we're opening up in Sarasota, and that'll be our flagship and our HQ for our future adult daycare center. So,
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit here. If y'all haven't seen Kris, his fabulous superstar stuff on LinkedIn or TikTok or YouTube or Facebook or any of the platforms that he's on, these folks are one of the best examples of how you can take a senior care business. We all are in it. We all know it's not super sexy and super hot, and it's the biggest, woohoo. Makes it fun, engaging, and it is just phenomenal. I mean, for the few videos that I've had time to watch, like there's an entire panel of TVs on a wall that you guys put up. Or some stuff with it. I mean, just the incredible. So this is a great example of you guys just really diving into this industry and making it fun. And these seniors are so lucky to have you.
Well, and thank you, Valerie. I love what you're doing too. So, I mean, I've definitely seen all your work and super appreciative of all the hard work that you're putting into this space as well. Because it takes, I truly believe, like, my biggest fear is like 20 years from now is that we didn't inspire enough younger people to take care of like this next generation. And I feel like whatever I can do to create content that can at least maybe catch the eye of someone that may have considered another industry or another field, and maybe they get interested in this field because of something we might be doing or whatever, So
that's awesome. I mean, 20 years from now, you're way younger than me, but I'm going to be 70 and hopefully in great health. But we're raising and we are talking to the people in their 20s, in their 30s, who are going to be the next generation of folks that are going to be charged with the care of millions of seniors and what to do with them. Hopefully we've set a great path. You've set a great path in adult day care. I mean, adult day centers used to have, just like everything, started out with a different kind of look and feel that maybe wasn't so much fun. I mean, those people had great hearts and are doing the right thing. But you've taken this to a level where it's so, and we'll put some pictures and some and your links to all your stuff so that people can see what you've done. And it is truly amazing for these folks. So you're right. We need to inspire our younger generation.
I know when we first started, even in assisted living, like I remember going to a lot of the smaller residential ALFs and just kind of being like, I don't know, kind of like just depressed at like, like this is the environment. Like, but you again, it's like you had a very hardworking individual that had their heart in the right place that started 20 years ago, and like they just grew up in a different time period, so like but what I noticed is like we were entering this new time period where like a lot of the baby boomers were making decisions on behalf of their parents, and they had a higher expectation of like what type of care they wanted for their loved one, and so we had to create an environment that like matched that expectation. And so like I feel like we've done that in kind of like all of our environments, but I do feel like the future is going to heavily rely on that.
Sure. Well, give us a little, just as so for people who've never seen any of your videos or never met you or talked to you, give us kind of like a overview, just a picture of what it's like when they come to your adult day center? Just give us some kind of like overview. I don't know. Possible.
Yeah, I mean, like so we've recently rebranded, so I'm in this like really kind of like this weird state of like we used to say it this way and now we like have our new rebranding, but because we're formerly Chelsea Place, which I named after my wife, and we're transitioning now into a brand called Active Age. And Active Age is, all about keeping everyone active and healthy and and just really embracing the active side of like maybe these later years. But when someone comes to our adult daycare center, the idea we want them to have is like it's a fun and engaging daycation for seniors. So like ideally you're coming, you're dropping your mom or your dad off at our place, and they're going on a daycation for the day, and they enter our adult daycare center, and they're greeted by a friendly person at the front desk who and they kind of think of like you're boarding a seaplane and you're going to ride Paradise Airways into some like Caribbean island somewhere where you're going to spend your day and have just a great time and have fun. And so then you enter our building, and we kind of have like this really tropical, it's like a Margaritaville meets like 1960s retro vibe, like merge
Nice.
those two together. And we basically have fun and engaging activities all day long, from the time that someone gets there at 8 a.m. the time they leave at 5 p.m. It's just nonstop, probably 20 plus different things that we're doing all throughout the day. Um, and usually that's changing every 30 minutes to every hour. And we have a lunch. We have catered kind of snacks in the afternoon. We have live music every day. So it's a super active place.
Nice, nice. And what if they're the person? So, do the seniors that go there, do they have to be super active, or can they be a less active person and have,
So
maybe?
I mean, so it's not that like they're coming in with all this like hype, like I all this like they're coming, and we're creating an environment that kind of like helps produce that activity, right? So like we have a lot of people that come in wheelchairs. We have a lot of people that are in their like kind of like moderate to late stages of Alzheimer's,
Yeah,
and dementia, maybe however like or even Parkinson's disease. We have so a lot of times we're creating an environment which is fun and engaging and active throughout the day, but it's not that it relies heavily on our team to
sure.
create that environment. So we might have like one person, our activity director, who's like kind of like leading the way, and at the end of the day we look at her as like our entertainer. She's the one that's like entertaining from the time that someone gets there to the time that someone leaves. But then we have like multiple activity directors that are like kind of working with subgroups. So like they're typically working with like 1 to 6 people at a time to like engage those 6 people and engage these 6 people while like if we're doing chair exercises, we might have like one person leading the activity in the front of the room, but then we might have like one person in front of each of these 6 or 8 people, like helping engage them with those chair exercises. And
Gotcha. So
so
everybody's working to their capability, or they're
yep.
having fun based on what they can understand and
Exactly.
do.
It's like with live music every day, we might have like 25% of our population or 30% of our population dancing and
Yeah.
like actually up there holding each other dancing or dancing with one of our staff members. But then you might have the rest of the group like kind of surrounding them, like tapping their feet or clapping their hands or like participating in it and maybe singing, but maybe not actually dancing.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I mean, that's awesome. You've taken into consideration all the different abilities and all the different, mental abilities, physical abilities, and everybody has, their options there. So that's cool. Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks like an amazing place. Like I want a staycation there.
exactly. I know.
I,
Our new place is gonna have pina coladas served all day, so we'll have we're gonna have a pina colada machine just plugged in.
oh, wow. That sounds great.
It
All right.
might be non-alcoholic, but it's
Yeah,
still it's creating the vibe, creating the
that's right.
atmosphere. So
There you go. All right. Well, tell me, I got to ask everybody this question. What is the best thing about serving aging adults? You've been doing this in so many different capacities. What is the best thing?
So I think the reason why I got so excited about adult daycare, and what we're doing with that space is simply the fact that I feel like we give people a reason to like wake up in the morning. We give people a sense of purpose, and we give them like almost like this like kind of fulfilling, meaningful life that they may not otherwise have. So for, to be able to create an environment that like they're excited to like wake up in the morning and come to, like they cannot wait to come and see their friends and like be a part of this, environment, like to me, there's nothing that gives me greater joy than that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like those stories of like someone that, before like they would have a hard time, their loved one would have a hard time like waking them up in the morning, like getting them ready in the, for the day. And like now, like they're up ready, like they got themselves dressed. They're like sitting in the like, at the breakfast table, like ready to go at like 6 a.m., before their loved ones even gotten up because they just can't wait to come to, for that day. And so, I don't know, just giving, I feel like I always think about that person, like, or even myself, like at 90 years old, losing all my friends, losing all my, like I'm no longer running these businesses. I no longer have this sense of purpose. Like what does my life look like,
Right.
at that age? If I don't have, my kids aren't around anymore. My grandkids, they're kind of growing up and doing their own thing. Like what does my life look like anymore? Like what's the purpose of life? What's the reason to live, To be able to like give someone like that reason again, to give them that purpose. And it's just there's nothing more fulfilling than that to me. So
Absolutely. Yeah, the fact that they're so excited to come and see all their friends. And that's really the whole socialization thing, getting back to that. And I know Florida's been wide open since the pandemic and everything, but getting everybody back to that importance of being around other humans and laughing and having a good time and dancing, whether it's in your chair or standing up. I mean,
right.
so important
Yeah.
in our lives.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and even though like Florida was like open for like a lot, like a large majority of the time, I know what we noticed is that the population itself was still like scared and was still kind of like standoffish of there was a period of time where people were still not coming to the center as much, but what happened was is like their families, what we noticed is that like the families that kind of held off longer got to a point where they realized that the lack of socialization had such an impact on their loved one that they're like, okay, we need to get mom back. Like,
yes,
regardless of how we feel about this, like this is actually becoming worse now.
yes.
And so like it was interesting to see that because like people were starting to bring their loved ones back, like later on, at different stages when they realized that like mom had declined so much or dad had declined so much just simply because of the fact that they had not been social in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I think you can see that clearly too in nursing homes. And my dad was, I always tell the story. My dad was in a nursing home for 2 years. His wife pulled him out about 8 months into the pandemic, and we did everything we could do. All the FaceTimes, all the birthday stuff. We outside the window, parades, whatever, and it just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So she pulled him out and told me, "Hey, we're just gonna go for it. We're just gonna try."
Yeah.
And so he's been thriving. He's been doing great, and he was definitely in decline. And this is not an old man. He has vascular dementia. He's in his 70s, but he was going. Whoosh. I mean, you could just tell there was no reason to get up. There's no reason to get out
Yeah.
of bed. What for? What for me
I
to
know.
sleep all
And,
day?
and and that's the thing is like me and you, we have that purpose, right? Like we're like operating in our purposes. So it's hard for us sometimes, people that might be in that purpose, or maybe they have kids, or maybe they're doing like something is all like it's kind of like giving them that sense of purpose or that reason to get up for the day. So it's kind of hard to imagine life without that, you know?
Yes,
Like we've never, like if you haven't actually experienced that for yourself, like you also have to like kind of like put yourself in those shoes to really understand like how detrimental that could be to someone.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was so obvious. Anybody who's had a loved one in a nursing home that is unable to visit or had been, it is, you can see it clearly, the
Yeah.
effect it had on so many. All right. So let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
I would imagine that in all this, from assisted living through today and going into this franchising adventure, what leaders
Isn't it?
it's an adventure, I'm sure. What leaders and organizations have really had an impact on you? Maybe it's a local organization or a national one, or someone that you thought, man, these folks do a great job.
For sure. I feel like it's been a mixture of both. Like, certain organizations that I look up to, other organizations that like I've been a part of. I think, when I first started out, even being a part of like say FALA, the Florida Assisted Living Association, the person that I went through core training with, Alberta Granger, she was kind of like my mentor in the very, very beginning. The person that kind of inspired me to start our assisted living facility, this guy Greg, he had a small 6-bed ALF that was up in the DeLand area, and he was like my go-to. Like back in the day when I like when I had thought about like what am I going to do for dinner tonight for Sarah, my first resident, when, I was like freaking out because I had burnt like whatever was on the menu for that night.
Uh,
So, and I was the cook at the time. So I was like, oh no, what am I supposed to do? Like, and he's like, just relax. Just remember, this is like hanging out with your own grandparents. Like, does
yeah.
she like pizza? Can we order something in? I'm like, okay, can I do that? He's like, yeah, just like, so just like those, when I was like nervous about all the state stuff, to people like, even like Pascal with like, Alf, Alf Boss, who's just always there, like to answer questions about licensing or things like that. And then people like I look up to now and even aspire to now on like LinkedIn. I don't know if, you follow James Lee at all. He's someone kind of in the senior living space, but just from like, just like his leadership, like abilities. The way he talks about leadership is like kind of like a way that to me like I feel like there's a lot of alignment there. So like he's been kind of like someone that I leaned into when it comes to leading your teams thing, especially when you think about like leading like a team of caregivers, of people that are like maybe adventuring into this field for the first time and they're unfamiliar with it, and you're dealing with this like this it's not just like a retail like environment where we're talking about like boxes and clothes and like things that have no feelings. We're in a service-based industry where like yeah, where we're like we have like human lives that are kind of at stake, and it's like are we making an impact on their life or not? And so like how do I lead my teams at that level, and how do I like help them grow and help them advance and help them see opportunity for themselves in the future. How do I so things like that. I would say other organizations like even like with what is it, Bridge the Gap, and just like the group of people that they've brought together for kind of just information and insight. I lean on that heavily because the sad part is that I feel like the adult daycare space doesn't have a lot of like guidance. There's not a large association. There's not like a lot of people, thought leaders to look up to. So we're kind of like I'm kind of like relying at the mercy of like other people like in the senior living or the home care space to kind of be my guide.
But you're leading the way. So, I mean, if anybody has, I swear to you, that you've done, they're going to be like, oh, we're way behind. We got well, you don't have to do everything, but just the positive vibe and the fun. I know every moment is not what you see on video, but just the overall happiness of that facility. And I don't know if the facility is the way to say it, but yeah, and the overall happiness of your clients is amazing. Leadership role to take with senior care, and it doesn't
Well,
matter if it's you can have fun at home, you can have fun in an assisted living facility, you can have fun in an adult day
I
center.
think I think the biggest thing, and so sometimes like I will say from having the experience of all three, I think the adult daycare does kind of bring out the best of all three, because at the end of the day, when someone's coming to us, like our main focus, that day is to make sure they're having fun. Like
Yes.
so, like when they're coming to us for the day, if they're not feeling well, they're probably not coming that day.
Yeah.
Like they're probably gonna stay home, right? So like the adult daycare does bring out the best of everyone. Like, so it brings out the best of your team, it brings out the best of your members, because for the most part, everyone's like coming there for this great time, right? Where in assisted living, we have all sorts of other problems. It's like you got overnight issues, you got behavioral problems, you got medication issues, you got staffing issues, you got all these other things,
Yeah.
and it's happening, and there's a lot more going on. And same with home care, like you got staffing problems, you can't recruit enough people, we got wage issues, like there's always stuff happening, and you have a shortage of people that can work in the field. So like because you need a 1-to-1 ratio there. So like it's not that all of these fields are just like always happy all the time. Like it's like it's just that there is a lot about the adult daycare that does bring the best of like senior care from it. So it's just because of the structure of the day is more focused on just having fun.
Do you find that your staff stays, the retention is easier at the adult day center? I
Oh,
mean,
a hundred times, yeah. Just because all you gotta do is have fun. Like that's what we joke all the time. Because like when my assisted living or my home care agency would be having issues when it came to staffing, like especially during the whole COVID crisis, and you'd have multiple people out with COVID, and then you'd have everyone like
uh,
working overtime, and they're stressed out, and it was just like, oh my God, I'm like, this is like a lot on everyone. I would say that at least with the adult daycare, it's like like that environment just produces a much happier like work environment.
Right.
Whereas there's just certain, and the thing is, like, for the most part, is all the stress ends at 6 p.m. You know,
Yeah,
like,
that's true. Everybody goes
you know,
home.
you're like everyone goes home. You know, but as soon as the vans are in, like, I have no more stress. You know, and then
Right.
all I got to do is worry about home care. You know, so it's like,
Right.
you know, and I used to have to worry about the assisted living too, but, like, you know, it's just there is those levels of stress on a 24/7, like, you know, job that where I think in the adult daycare, it produces a better work environment. Plus, everyone's working together. You know, so unlike assisted living, you might have first shift, second shift, third shift, and those shifts sometimes would kind of have beef with each other, and then with home care, you have like this separation from, you know, your team in the field to their team in the office, and so, like, how to bridge those gaps. Like, if you can bridge those gaps, I think, like, you can create really tight bonds, but it takes a lot of intentional effort. You know,
Do you guys pick people up at their house?
we do. Yep. So
Do
we
you
provide.
go in and get I mean, do you go if a family wants you to go in and get them or get them dressed? I mean, do you go? How far do you go to get people to you in home?
Yes. So I mean, ideally, like, you know, they've gotten them ready for the day, you know. So, like, but we'll come to that front door, help that person walk out, you know. The hard part is, you know, like, you know, I would love for it if our team could go and get everyone ready and stuff like that, but it's just the sheer time, like, of,
Oh yeah,
like, yeah, because we're not just picking up one person at a time, we're
yeah.
picking up a route, you know. So it's like we're trying
Plus,
to get, yeah, we're trying, we don't want people to be stuck on the bus for more than an hour, you know. So it's like, so we're, you know, so ideally we're coming in, we're helping that person maybe from their front door, walking them to the van, helping them get in, get their walker maybe in the back, or however they might need to get loaded, and make sure that's all done safely. And same thing, like, on the way home, like, we're walking them back to the front door. If, you know, depends on, like, you know, can they get it? Are they going home alone? Is there a loved one there? Like, you know, just depends on the situation. But it's not like Uber, like, all right, see ya. Like,
yeah, but I guess your home care agency potentially could help on either end of that if needed. So,
for sure. And we actually do that a lot. Like, we definitely have, like, a handful of clients that, like, we have someone from home care that comes in the morning, gets that person, like, up for the day, gets them ready, helps them with the shower, maybe, like, you know, gets them at least the breakfast started. So by the time transportation's coming around, they're good to go. You know, so we've had that too, where we've done it that way, or where our home care teams, like, even just transported them to our adult daycare at that point. So
nice, nice.
yeah.
No, that's great. Gosh, you guys are doing such a great job. What piece of advice would you give? You've already given a lot of great advice, but what piece of advice would you give to other senior care providers out there?
um You know, I think just a true assessment of, like, you know, where someone's heart is, you know, like, being able to kind of be self-aware enough of, like, is my, like, what if I'm coming into this space for the first time and I've never been in senior care, like, you know, what are my reasons why? Like, is there a family member? Is there, but, like, never forgetting that why, like, you know, and, like, always holding on to that why during those hard times, because it's like, you know, the why is why we're here, and if we forget the why, then I feel like, you know, it's like hard to overcome those difficult times, and those difficult times you can then be easily frustrated, and you can lose that momentum, you can lose, you know, the cultural identity that maybe you've created in your company, if you forget the reason why you're there, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have to have a why, and it's all about this. It's all about
Yeah.
that you put into it.
And,
It's not
and
easy.
and the why can never be in healthcare, at least in the care world. It can never be financial. Like, it just, like if you're in an insurance, or if you're in financial services, like, it could be that, like I'm saying, like it could be, you know, that, but at the end of the day, like your why has to be pure, because I feel like it's so easy to, like, see past that in this space, you know.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, and I really feel like this is one of those unique spaces where if you focus on the why, the money is just a byproduct of that. Like, if I just do the right things, and if I think about, like, how would I want my own loved one taken care of, like, how, like, if I just focus on that and I do that stuff well, and then then the business and the mechanics of it, as long as the systems are set up right, like, that'll just work itself out, you know.
Absolutely. You're totally right about that. It is the more you give, the more will come back to you. Totally.
It's
Absolutely.
like it's like we had, like yesterday we had, or, I don't know, last week or something. Like, we had one of our girls. She, like, was cleaning one of our, for home care, right? She was, cleaning one of our clients' house, and she accidentally threw away something that the lady had ordered, which I guess they were kind of like setting apart. Like, okay, this goes back to, like, Amazon. this is trash, this is whatever. And so one of those things accidentally got thrown out, and she was a little upset about it. And I was like, and so we were like, all right, like no. So we replaced the item for her. Like she gave us like a printout of what it was. And it was like, I know my admin Jamie was like, hey, should we replace it? What do we do? And I'm like, we don't have a protocol for this situation, but we'll have one now. And I was like, but like at the end of the day, like I was like, if we threw it out and the caregiver, like, it wasn't like a questionable thing. The caregiver was like, yeah, I accidentally threw that out. I did not mean to. It was like, okay, we'll take care of it. We'll replace it. Like
Absolutely.
we're gonna do right by her. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those are the kinds of, I mean, and everybody's human, accidents happen. And of course, you're going to give them their $20, $30 thing or whatever it was back to them. I
yeah,
mean, of course, you're gonna do that. And yeah, that's definitely where you make a decision with your, in your heart, that's the right thing to do versus no.
but I think sometimes we've seen somebody and I've experienced that like in different areas of business, like as being a customer of different companies, where it's like you get nickel and dime to certain things, or and it feels so like, gosh, like just I don't know, it takes all the it's like you could charge me way more and I wouldn't even know, as long as you took care of me as a customer.
Yes.
But when
Yep.
you start nickel and diming me on stuff, I just like it makes me
Yeah.
I hate that feeling.
You see
So
people's colors when they start doing that stuff. So you're
yeah.
absolutely right. It's all about your heart. Now, my last question is supposed to be a fun one. It sounds like every day is kind of a celebration where you are. Tell us how you like to celebrate with your staff, and this could be anything. Somebody is caregiver of the month, or somebody is just has done a great job, or is it whatever, some celebration. How do you guys celebrate?
So for our caregiver of the month, like and the way we like to do it, so we'll actually like have someone come to the home office, like and so that always kind of like they get like a little nervous,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like but but like because we'll be like, all right, come on this day at this time, and they'll come and they don't really know why, and then but when they come in to the room, we have like a confetti cannon, and we'll like launch the confetti cannon, and like confetti goes all over the room. And then like it's usually like at that point in time we kind of like congratulations, and we will like thank that person for being we call them our so we have our wow awards, and then we have our all-star of the month. So like we'll have our all-star of the month, and the all-star of the month is like that person that just like always kind of like stands out, follows all of our core values, and is just kind of like one of those like people that you would hope that anyone else would identify, like they have all the attributes of like someone that makes for all those good qualities for our team. So we'll give them an award, which will kind of like is like a little placard thing. We'll give them $50 like check or whatever, and then they'll be and then we'll usually have like a lunch that day, or like we'll have some sort of meal that day that we'll celebrate with them. So if we can get them to the home office, like that's the best way to, like, we like to kind of
That's awesome.
celebrate. So, and we're working on some different things. Like I feel like that's one thing, like when it comes to home care especially, is like trying to find unique ways to bridge the gap between like the team in the field and the team in the office, and help them, make them feel more part of the whole company.
Yeah, yeah. It's when they're kind of a solo. It's solo. It's hard to get everybody to come together a little bit more. But yeah, absolutely. I think what you're doing sounds great, and having people come to the office to celebrate is the way to go if you can get them there. But you just got to get them there.
Exactly.
Like, oh,
Exactly. Well,
I,
so sometimes like the daycare, like we might go to them. Like it depends on if it's like a home care, if someone wins from home care, if someone wins from the adult daycare. But yeah, no, it's cool. Like when someone from the home care can come, and then we sit down and have lunch together with everyone, and kind of just really just kind of just make it. It's like in those moments you can build those like genuine relationships and spend that genuine time with people. So
that's a retention builder for sure. They want to stay part of
yeah,
the family. So yeah.
yeah, yep,
Well,
absolutely.
I want to thank you for taking this time out of your day to share what you're doing with us. It's amazing. We'll make sure that a lot of your things will post with this uh, podcast and with the netcast links and some things that people can view to see what a great example you're setting forth in the adult day center space. And do this again with us when you have your next facility open or your next location. as you grow, come back and do this some more, because I think we're going to see a lot of cool stuff.
No, I appreciate it, Valerie. No, and no, thank you for everything you're doing too. It's awesome, and it's exciting to be around other forward thinkers in the senior care space. So